My name is Theresa Daniels. I'm 44 years old and I grew up and currently live in Ridley, Pennsylvania.
My name's John Daniels. I'm 44 years old as well, and I live in Ridley and been here my whole life.
I was diagnosed January 31st. I won't ever forget it. It was the middle of a school day. I was teaching in my classroom when I got the phone call. And at that point, it was, I broke down that day and relied on a lot of people to kind of help me even just to get home. When I got home, John was there and took on the role because it was even hard for me to say that I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
My father just passed away from blood cancer. His other two brothers passed away from blood cancer. My mom just died from cancer. So it's a whirlwind. You never think it's going to happen to you, and then when it does, you sort of black out everything else. Those small things don't matter anymore. What matters is your family and trying to make sure that she doesn't go anywhere. I need her here. So I never thought at 44 that I'd have this conversation with my kids. When they hear the word cancer, they think that automatically it goes to death because that's all they've seen with cancer.
You know, to think that I'm 44 with 4 children, my youngest only being 10. You know, I remember early on just turning to him and saying, I'm too young to die, too young to be sick. So, but getting to those doctors, getting some of those answers, and then focusing on getting better. That was my weak point. And then saying to myself, I can't be weak anymore. I have to do whatever they tell me, do whatever I can to make sure that I am here for a really long time. And that's kind of how I've been so far, you know, just focus on
one day at a time.
On that goal, you know, becoming cancer-free and doing whatever you can.
I've known the family, I can't even tell you how many years. It's been many, 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 many years. I remember them as little kids, Nick, Daniel, Pat, and Michael coming to the pool with Mr. Collier, taking him to get a new hair design down at the shop.
I remember him talking about this boy, Nick, and how he was sick and things like that, and how he's friends with his cousin and all that. And I felt terrible and hearing about this mother who had 4 boys. And I remember the day of Nick's service. John had gone, and I was at home with a newborn baby boy. And I remember looking at him and thinking how hard it must be for that mother to bury her son. And I had this beautiful baby in my arms. And at that point, I felt kind of connected, but I wasn't connected. You know, I could feel a mother's pain at that time. Actually, that day, he brought home the pamphlet that they handed out at his service and was Nick's quote on the back. And I cut it out and I hung it on my fridge, which it still is there today. Cheryl and I, just that connection of sharing, you know, 4 boys, all close in age, all living in Ridley, all, you know, sharing love of sports and being active and stuff. So it kind of grew from there. I didn't realize that day that I held my 1 son at the time would turn into 4 boys later. And even now, you know, that I too would then have a diagnosis of cancer and be reaching out to them for their support and their help and guidance in this journey.
The sports community has really stepped up a lot with us. Just the Ridley community in whole, between the soccer team at Ridley, the lacrosse team at Ridley, HEADstrong, everyone. It's amazing when you go through something. It was mind-boggling how many people actually helped out.
It was hard at first to accept anything from others because it was like, I don't need it, I'm good, I'm fine. But not many people get to see who would step up if something happened, and I do, you know, and I have, and everyone has been amazing. You know, life sometimes throws you curveballs, and you just kind of have to roll with the punches. You gotta, you know, stand up and fight. You gotta be you and take one day at a time. Like I said, nobody wants cancer, but you gotta focus on some of the positives that might come out of it.